Hi, I'm Valerie Espinoza, your New Mexico Public Regulation Commissioner, and I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of our program. As you're well aware, we're in full season for campaigning in the election time, which is going to be June 5th. And so I want to wish all the candidates good luck. And today you're going to get to meet Maria Sanchez-Gagne, and I tell her I even pronounce that right, I do believe, correct?
Perfect.
Now, Maria is running for district judge, and I want to welcome you back. I know I interviewed you in the past and was very impressed. So I want to welcome you back and let you do a little intro on yourself. Let us know what you're running for. That is district judge. And one of my first questions after you introduce yourself is going to be, what exactly does a district judge do, and what are your areas that you're running in?
Okay. Thank you for your viewers who may not know me. I'm Maria Sanchez-Gagne, and yes, I did run for district attorney back in 2016. So it's wonderful to be back here to inform your viewers about me and about this important position that's on the ballot this year. I am a native New Mexican, born and raised in Santa Fe. I have many generations that have lived in this community. In fact, my father retired from the labs, working there after 42 years.
Who's your father? I worked
Lee
there for
Sanchez,
20.
yes. He worked there 42 years.
Do you know what areas he worked in?
He was at SI, mechanical technician.
I'll be darned.
Worked there for 42 years and retired from there. And my mom was an original Harvey girl who worked at the La Fonda Hotel. So as you can see, I have deep roots to this community. And I'm very honored that I've worked in my 22 years of my legal profession as in public service. And I think public service is very, very important. And now I'm looking at this position as a district court judge because this is an extension of public service, and it's an important position because a district court judge makes findings on evidentiary rulings, cases, and the type of cases that come before this particular docket. It was Judge Sarah Singleton who retired, and her docket was primarily civil. And these cases can range from anything from foreclosures to bankruptcies to landlord-tenant to medical malpractice, personal injury type cases. So a broad variety of civil cases, important cases.
Now, what set your path for running for this position?
Well, I've started my professional career in the courtroom. Prior to attending law school, I worked as a courtroom monitor, and I was very honored to have the late Judge Carol Jean Vigil as my mentor.
I remember her well.
Yes, she was an amazing woman and a wonderful judge. She demonstrated strength and compassion and fairness to everybody who was in her courtroom. And I grew to admire her as a friend and as a mentor. And she encouraged me to go to law school. And I did. I went to the University of Denver. And when I returned with my Juris Doctorate degree, I began working at the DA's office in Santa Fe. There I prosecuted numerous violent felonies ranging from crimes against children, juvenile crimes, sexual assault, domestic violence, a lot of tough cases but important cases. And then I transitioned to the Attorney General's office, where I worked under the then Attorney General Patricia Madrid.
I remember that,
yes.
Because she endorsed you
yes.
for your race when you ran before, and so I'm sure she's with you now.
Yes, she's been supportive, a wonderful boss and another great mentor and friend. And, under Patricia Madrid, she allowed us to develop and establish a new division in the Attorney General's office, and she appointed me as the director of this division. It was called the Border Violence Division, and this was established to address crimes that were related to Mexico and New Mexico. So we did some historic firsts, and a real milestone in my career is that we drafted the state human trafficking law and enacted this. And this is New Mexico being the last state to have a human trafficking law. And this brought justice for many victims who were being exploited and trafficked either in our state or beyond the borders of our state. And this is a huge endeavor, Valerie, because we had to train all of law enforcement around the state. We also trained law enforcement in Chihuahua, our partner state. We established a memorandum of understanding with our sister state of Chihuahua to help share intelligence and cross-border resources with Chihuahua. So huge endeavor, and I'm very proud that we did that. And we also did the first international extradition for state crimes. And to give you an example of what that is, and I'll give you a case that happened in Rio Arriba County. We had a defendant who stabbed his wife numerous times and then set her on fire. And then he fled to Mexico. And normally in these types of cases, a case would remain a cold case unless the person returned to New Mexico, they by chance may be arrested. However, using the U.S.-Mexico treaty, we were able to locate this defendant, find him, bring him back, and try him in our New Mexico courts. So this was historic, and then we actually successfully extradited 13 more defendants from Mexico due to our great relationships and using the U.S.-Mexico treaty. So I've done a lot of innovative work in this area, and currently I'm now working as a hearing examiner on water rights disputes, which
Interesting.
You're aware of is a very important issue in New Mexico. Water is an important issue, and they're complex. It's a complex area of law. So I preside over hearings, evidentiary rulings, and I work
Wow,
with...
that qualifies you to work at the PRC.
That's right, your domain. So, we work with a lot of different individuals, as you know, with the acequias, municipalities, individuals. It's an important area of law, and I bring to this court a broad experience of criminal and civil law, which I've practiced in my 22 years.
And in listening to you talk about human trafficking, I know you watch the news like we all do. Isn't
Yes.
that just terrible what has happened to that young girl?
It truly is, and I'm so glad, due to our efforts, there is a law on the books in which this person can be prosecuted for those heinous crimes.
It's amazing some of the things
Yes.
that you have experienced in your positions and what you've witnessed and been a part of. And
Yes.
so, hats off to you for even, it's difficult enough running, but to discuss the issues that you do and have the ability to walk your talk is something
Thank
else.
you. I think it's really important, Valerie, and being from this community, I really care about this community, and that's why I'm running for this position, because I not only bring a broad range of experience, I bring diversity. And diversity in our courts is huge. We have a huge need for diversity in our courts right now, if you look at the demographics of the 1st Judicial District. And I'm bilingual, so being bilingual, I have that capacity to relate to those persons that come into the court that may not speak the language. Even if there's an interpreter present, you're able to look into the eyes of the person and understand and comprehend their cultural issues. And, New Mexico, the 1st Judicial District, is a multicultural community, and we should have the judiciary reflect the same.
Exactly. The district is pretty widespread. It's not just the area of Santa Fe. It is northern New Mexico. So what other areas? Is it Chama, Rio Arriba, but any others?
The 1st Judicial District includes Santa Fe County, Rio Arriba County, and Los Alamos County. So it's the entire county. And of course, Rio Arriba County being a very large county, goes all the way up to Dulce.
Believe me, I know.
Yes, yes,
it's tough and it's widespread.
It is, and so in Santa Fe is, the entire county of Santa Fe and the entire county of Los Alamos. So they're all very unique and diverse communities with different needs and different issues. And I think it's very important that I've been reaching out to all constituents in all the communities, from the tribes to local residents in each of these communities. And I think it's really important because the diversity and the constituents that reside in this district want to share and want to know about their judges and want to be included. And because a lot of the same issues affect the tribes that affect us. As you know, many of their members live off the tribe, and so they're affected by our district courts.
Absolutely, and that's a common thing,
Yes.
Or theme. They want to be included. Everybody wants to be included in that table, but if you don't reach out, it's not going to happen. And if you don't have the initiative, it's not going to happen.
That's correct.
So what has it been like, touring rural New Mexico? I represent the same area, and I always say, hey, my district is the largest in all of the PRC districts, in my opinion, because I've got, Rio Rancho, Santa Fe, Espinoza, Taos, and imagine, like you say, going all the way to Dulce. You've got to go here, got to go there. And if you want to win, that's what you got to do. You've got to go ask people for their support.
Yes.
What have you found on your second try for office? What is it like? You already have the lay of the land set?
It's wonderful. I really enjoy meeting people and hearing what their concerns are and educating them about the judiciary, because the judiciary not many people know about, and once people understand what the role of the judiciary is, they're very interested, and I enjoy meeting people. It's been wonderful to reconnect with old friends. For instance, my dear friend Odelia Baker just celebrated her 94th birthday last Saturday, and I've came to become very good friends with Odelia last time I ran in 2016, and she's remained a avid supporter and a wonderful
Well,
friend.
those are the seniors that need to make the phone calls,
Yes,
right?
yes, and she is a staunch Democrat and will never vote absentee. She insists at 94
Going
she will
in
go
person.
in person. So she is an inspiration to me, and I'm inspired by so many people in their walks of life, whether it's in rural Rio Arriba, in Santa Fe. I truly enjoy visiting with people. I've met with the tribes, and I'm very grateful that I've been able to obtain the endorsement of the Jicarilla Nation as well as the Okewinge Pueblo. And I think they're also echoing the need for diversity in their courts.
They have come a long way, and
Yes.
now they are players at the table. So
Yes.
it's always good to reach out to all of our natives and different cultures and
Yes.
such. So I know that typically you talk the issues about, when you're campaigning, but what are some of the other things that you end up discussing besides the issues?
Yes. Well, as a judicial candidate, we are not allowed to speak to the issues according to the Judicial Code of Conduct. So the judicial candidates can't necessarily speak to their position on issues.
That's strange.
Yes, and the reason,
Except in a public forum, maybe?
well, and not even in a forum. We had a forum last night in Los Alamos, and we're limited to speaking about ourselves. And for the reason I can explain to you is that if a case were to come before us, we would be looking at the case objectively and based only on the evidence presented before us. This would prohibit us from being excused from a case for any kind of position we may have on a particular issue. So I think that preserves that if there is a matter that would come before us, we wouldn't be stricken from hearing a particular case. So that's the reason behind the rules. So when I inform candidates, when they say, well, how are you on issues? I explain to them, look at our background, look at who we are, look what we've done in our legal profession, and then you can make an informed decision as you, the voter, on who you would like sitting on your bench. Because it's really important. Each of us brings special talents or gifts to the bench, and I think looking and researching, and I found the voters very willing to do that, to find out what this person, because of their background, may bring.
Interesting. So you really have to push your experience rather than say, hey, here's the issues of the district court. What kind of cases would you be hearing? Define the district judge position then?
Okay, a district court judge, and I'll kind of just do a brief overview of the courts in general. The lowest courts we're going to have are the municipal courts and magistrate courts, and they're going to hear cases below $10,000 and misdemeanors. The next level court will be the district courts, and within district court there are 9 judges, and they will hear felonies and cases charged over $10,000 for any, whether it's a landlord-tenant issue, if it's a
that's right, you said.
bankruptcy,
So
if it's a contract issue. These are the type of issues, probate, estate, and of course there's domestic relations, there's that separate division, there's the juvenile division, and these are all cases that are heard, and the criminal division that are heard within the district court level. And so in Judge Singleton's docket, which is the position I'm running for, would consist primarily of civil cases, which would be a broad variety of those.
So then if you are unable to discuss the issues, which is good to know, so does it work the same way for receiving campaign contributions?
Yes, and the way the Judicial Code has structured this for judicial candidates, we're unique candidates in that judicial candidates are not allowed to directly solicit contributions, and we provide a finance committee. A finance committee does that for the judicial candidates. As you're aware of, all campaigns require funding, and that's an important big segment of campaigning. However, the judicial candidates are removed from that process and not aware of who is contributing or the balance. You probably have to know because you're balancing your campaign.
You're managing your checkbook.
You got to know that there's money in there, but not necessarily making any solicitations or knowing who is making those contributions. So it's kind of, you're really prevented from knowing that information according to judicial code. So you just know that there is money, but you don't directly solicit or know who has given you contribution.
How interesting. My mind's wandering. So then once, should you get elected, once that happens, does that mean you're one of the judges that would be a retention judge, or are you going to have to run for office again?
It would be a retention position.
Over 50% of the voters have to vote for you in 4 years.
Correct.
To keep you there.
Correct.
I see.
So it is a retention position. So, it's an important decision for our voters to make because, these judges do make important decisions that affect the community, and anytime any person goes in before the courts, that it is probably the most important case in their life. So I think, it's an important role for a person to take as a district court judge.
Sure. And then as you use the word excused, that can also be, i.e., ex parte, right?
Yes, yes.
So that makes a lot of sense that you would be, even on the campaign trail, fair and impartial and not, show your, part one-sided to any issue.
Correct.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes,
I don't think a lot of people realize that when you run for, the judgeship. You're a judge. You shouldn't be talking to people that you may end up, representing, or not representing, but
right
in your court.
And and I've heard from a lot of persons while I've been campaigning that there is some dissatisfaction with the courts because persons don't feel that they're being heard or listened to, or they may not be represented by an attorney. And I think right now what we're seeing in our courts, and our statistics show that 76% of the new cases filed in this district have been civil. And a majority, probably at least half, of those are now with self-represented litigants. So that means they're coming in the courtroom without an attorney, and it requires special attention to make sure that these persons are having their access to justice. And what it requires is a court to take the time to explain the processes to these individuals who are representing themselves. And I think it's an important part of the courts that we take that time and have that cultural understanding that people may come from backgrounds that may not afford attorneys. And I've been dealing with this for many years in my public service, whether it's victims of crime or it's dealing with persons with the Oseki associations in water law. So it's an important part of being a judge, being able to work with unrepresented litigants who are representing themselves in court.
Interesting. So in this race, the election's around the corner, June 5th. Early absentees started already.
Yes.
And what distinguishes you from the others that are running in your district? I realized when I hosted the forum in Rio Arriba County, there was not just the three names I had recognized. There's two others, so there's probably five of you. So is that right? So
there's four candidates.
Oh, four.
Yes.
So
yes.
what distinguishes you, from them?
Okay. Well, Valerie, that's a very good question. There's a few things that distinguish me, and I'm very, very, very proud to say that I've had 22 years of public service, and within that is a combination of criminal law and civil law. And I think it's good for a judge who's going to assume the bench to have a broad background in criminal and civil law. Yes, this is primarily a civil docket. However, the judges change, and other judges are excused, and they need judges to step in on either one of the matters, whether it's going to be a criminal case or civil. So I bring that distinct from the other candidates, a broad base in both those areas. And more importantly, I bring diversity. I'm bilingual, and I bring the diversity of knowing this community. And I think it's really, really important when you look at the demographics of our bench right now in the 1st Judicial District. I'm bilingual, I was raised bilingual, and that allows me to bring this much needed diversity to help persons in the courtroom understand the proceedings and to be able to culturally understand our issues in our community.
So I know you mentioned you were an attorney, and I think, did you mention where you went to school?
University of Denver School of Law, yes.
Oh, be darn. How was that? You left home and then moved away?
Yes, moved away, and it was a wonderful experience. University of Denver was an excellent school, and I was very pleased that I was able to receive my education and come back here to practice where my roots are in my community.
So if people want to reach you, they just need to call or reach you at your campaign email?
Please visit my website for an entire view of all my endorsements, and you can view my website at www.maria4, and that's the number 4, judge.com.
And we have a few minutes left, so you might want to talk about, some people that have endorsed you, yes, and also some of the cases that you've worked on, okay, just to give examples.
Okay. Yes, I'm very pleased with with all my endorsements, and I'll list those that I remember right now. We have Attorney General Patricia Madrid, as well as retired Judge Michael V. Hill, who has endorsed me, and Senator Richard Martinez, and the Hickety Apache Nation, and Okewinge, the Sheet Metal Workers Union, and the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union, and Lynn Sanchez, also from the Lifelink, and Henry Roybal, Santa Fe County Commissioner, And these are the endorsements that I've met individually with people and I've either worked with and know my commitment to the community and to public service. So I'm very, very pleased and honored to receive these endorsements.
I've come to know Judge V. Hill more than I ever did because we serve on some committees together, and he's just outstanding in his role. He continues to work for the community even though he's retired.
Yes.
And so that's amazing. And that's probably one of the assets that you consider, a good friend and a good community leader.
Yes, he was a good community leader, and please visit my website. You can read his entire letter of recommendation for me. But he did serve as a community judge, a real advocate of drug courts and mental health courts, and I think that's really important to be a community judge and to be active in your community. The Judicial Code encourages judges to be more involved in the community for the reasons that we can provide more information to the public to have a better understanding of what the judiciary is and to have more respect for the courts. So I admire and respect Judge Mike V. Hill for the work that he did and that he did work as a community partner.
Absolutely. And I know you've worked on some tough felony and homicide cases. What was that like for you to actually partake in that? I mean,
I've been seeking justice for my 22 years in public service, and seeking justice is important. And for victims of crime, whether it was human trafficking, murders, sexual assaults, it was very rewarding. And whether we obtained a conviction or we didn't obtain a conviction, we were seeking justice and allowing the community standard to hopefully find that there is justice with victims, and working with the victims through the process so that they realize that they are a part of this community and deserve justice. So I've found it very rewarding to fight for justice my entire career.
Well said. I would imagine you have to develop thick skin.
Very thick skin, yes. And probably the most difficult cases are those crimes against children. I've done a lot of child fatality cases and and sexual assault cases of children, and they are very, very difficult. But they are, on the other hand, make you passionate enough to fight for justice for them.
So you'll be able to leave it at home at 5 o'clock. I doubt it. Are you like me? You lose sleep over certain things.
Yes. Well, it does help to have had a broad experience in these types of cases for many years, and I think the passion of knowing that you're doing the right thing for your community and those persons in your community is always rewarding.
So if you had something to tell the viewing audience in 3 minutes or less, what would you say to them? I
would say I appreciate you researching your judicial candidates. Please look closely at my website, learn more about me, and yo soy bilingüe y gracias por su apoyo. Y si quiere hablar conmigo, ahí tiene mi información. Y yo soy María Sanchez-Gagne y por favor, necesito su apoyo.
I'll be darned. Well, now I know. We heard a sample, and that's your evidence right there. That's awesome. Yes. So yeah, you grew up probably with your parents. Your parents were probably trying to speak in Spanish, so you wouldn't understand them like most of our parents. Correct. They didn't want you to know what they were saying, but that made it easier for us to pick up on what we want to know what they're saying.
It's wonderful, and I was so privileged. My grandmother lived with us, and she spoke only Spanish, and she was near and dear, and always encouraged us to maintain our language and to never lose sight of our Spanish language, which is part of our heritage. So I'm very proud of that.
So how interesting just to listen to you speak, because I too was in that situation. But what I like mostly about this interview, and I really never give feedback, but I think we have a couple seconds, is that seeking justice is important, because otherwise what'll happen, So that was a pretty key point. Anyhow, well, I think that that we're getting ready to wrap up. So I want to thank you for being here, and wish you all luck. And I'm sure that you still have a few weeks left that you're going to have to hit the pavement. And I'm so grateful I don't have to do that right now. I've got another 2.5, almost 3 years left at the Public Regulation Commission. So whoever wins, I look forward to, if you ever need anything, working with you. And
yes. Well, thank you very much, Valerie, for this opportunity to inform your viewers about my campaign and about myself. It's been a pleasure, and it's always a pleasure meeting with you. Again, thank you for this opportunity, and everybody please vote early, and we look forward to hopefully a successful campaign on June 5th.
That's right. It's important that people get out and vote,
Yes.
especially now. You know,
Absolutely.
and there's no excuse because the weather is beautiful, right? In November, that's another story.
That's right.
For the general, is there an opponent in?
There is not a registered Republican who filed, so the campaign, the election will actually be over in June. There are 4 primary candidates, so who are Democrats.
Outstanding. Well, we've got to wish all the candidates luck
Yes.
that are running from the top ballot to the down ballot. They're all important jobs, and people that want to serve, I give them a lot of credit because they have to devote a lot of effort and time.
It is a lot of work, and it is rewarding because you meet so many people in your community, and you learn so much from them. It's very, very inspiring.
All righty. Well, thank you. And I may have gone over my time, but I want to thank everybody for watching. And feel free to give me a call at 827-4533 if you'd like to be on this program to discuss issues, answers, and in some cases not issues, but experience. How's that? Anyhow, thank you for watching. Again, my number is 827-4533.